All right. Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to today's live stream. Good to see you guys as always, right? My name is Gershom Fulcott. We are VB Technologies. And as always, we have with us today Mr. Wong. Mr. Wong, what's going on, sir?
Hey, Gershom, and hello, everyone. Our sales has just been off the chart lately, and I think it has to do with a lot of people are catching on to the message that Bitcoin is Bitcoin mining in particular is the best way to kind of provide a hedge uh, for their portfolio. So I'm very excited, especially also with the recent price action that Bitcoin has, which makes me a very happy man.
Yeah, I think off the charts is an understatement. I think, and I haven't really looked at the numbers in that way, but I think we probably had over $200,000 in sales yesterday.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're
I
right. It
mean,
might be an understatement.
yeah, really, it's just amazing, which is it's a good thing though. And you know what? We have to give props to our members because they are the
Yep.
ones that's on the front line. They are the boots on the ground that's bringing this message to people, and bringing this information out there. And so for our members, I mean, they're doing a phenomenal job. I cannot tell you how proud I am of our members, just really getting out there and sharing the word. So you guys are awesome, man. You guys are super, super awesome. Hey, James, what's going on with you, bud?
Not much, man. California, like I was mentioning to Jason, is nobody's really wearing their masks anymore. Well, I mean that might be a bit of an overstatement, but just a bit of an observation as I'm driving around. It seems like people, I don't know, for whatever reason, just aren't wearing the face coverings. It's almost like people just kind of given up on doing it, and it doesn't seem like any police are enforcing it. I don't know if it's similar out in Philadelphia, but the weather's nice and been pretty unaffected. So, knock on wood.
Yeah. I mean, from my observation in Philadelphia, people still, you do have people that so when you're outside, there is no mandatory, like, you have to wear a mask when you're outside. But there are no establishments that's allowing you inside the establishment without you wearing some kind of mask. For example, you go to the, grocery stores or, restaurants, things like that. Even the restaurants that's doing just takeout, when you go to pick up your food, they do require you to wear a mask. So I think, and when you think about it, I don't think we're having that many cases here in Philadelphia. I don't see the spike in numbers like we've seen in places like Florida and, California and Texas and places like that. So I think Philly is doing okay. And hopefully, this is like the peak for Philly and things are going to start, going backwards as far as the reduction in cases. But we'll see. Mr. Wong, what are you seeing out here in Philadelphia?
Actually, the cases actually in Philadelphia yesterday, they were saying that they start seeing a small spike. Now,
Really?
given that we are not as bad as places like Florida or some of those hotbed, right? But we are actually seeing a little bit of a spike in Philadelphia County, the city of Philadelphia. And I think a lot of it has to do with people just kind of like start losing that vigilance, that right, that consistencies that they've been practicing. So don't lose sight of it. This thing is still very much alive and dangerous to us. So keep up that mask wearing and keep up the social distancings and keep on washing your hands. Just you got to do all of that stuff continuously, and now more than ever, I think.
Yeah, got you. Absolutely. All right, so let's jump right into it. First topic, Bitcoin. Man, are you guys happy or are you guys happy? So, I mean, right now, Mr. Wong, we're holding pretty good. I haven't checked in a while. What's the price right now in Bitcoin? I'm going to check right now while we're talking about it.
11.4.
Okay. So we're holding pretty good about 11,000, right?
Yeah.
And the last conversation we had, I was saying that the next real target for me to feel comfortable that we're actually in maybe even a short-term bull run, I want to see 14,000. But right now, I like what I'm seeing. You know, the fact that we cracked 11,000, we pulled back below 11,000 briefly.
Yeah.
But the big thing, Mr. Wong, we didn't go back below 10,000. And that was huge for me.
That was.
Right? Absolutely. So if we can establish this 10,000 range as a new base and, you know, maybe head towards 13, 14, 15,000, then I think, you know, if that happens, then I would expect a pullback for sure if it gets to 14,000. Definitely a pullback and then before another upswing. But for me right now, my eye is on 14,000. I want to see if we can breach that. What do you think, Mr. Wong?
Well, I think it's a big deal for a lot of people, you know, that for the fact that Bitcoin actually just broke, you know, the downward trend for, since 2017? You know, it's been a while, actually. So I'm hoping that it would get up to the next support and truly get on to this, you know, the bull run or the mini bull run that we all have been longing for. Now, the question that I have for our members and our audience are you going to sell?
That's a good question.
Bitcoin.
That's a very good question.
Get up to, let's say, $14,000. So that I'm very curious as to what our members or our audience would want to do. So if you don't mind, drop in your answer into our chat, and James can help us monitor the answers and let us know what you people think. Now, I'll tell you personally, I am not going to sell. All right, and I think I have advocated, you know, that for many, many times. I am longing Bitcoin, and I do see personally that it will go much higher than, say, 14, 15 grand. So I have no interest in selling it. In fact, I want to accumulate more before I head up to, you know, 14, 15 or that, you know, next bull run. So that's my goal. So I'm curious to see what you guys want to do.
Yeah, and like you and I talked about this a few times before. I have no intention of selling any of my Bitcoin at 14,000. But because, you know, to me, what's your belief system? You know, why would I get out of something that I believe is going to be sustainable going forward and get into something that is being debased on a daily basis? Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, I do understand, you know, if I need to sell some Bitcoin because I need the liquid, you know, let's say it's an emergency, whatever the case may be, absolutely, I get that. But just to sell it because it went up and I see a few gain based on, you know, what I've mined so far and I see the price gone up, and no, because it's not just about the gain that you're seeing right now. That's short-sighted. I'm thinking 4 or 5 years down the road. Right. So, yes, I have no intention of selling. Now, 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, I may sell a little bit. Right. But 14,000, 15,000, absolutely not. But our first topic, speaking of price, one of the gurus that we have talked about before, and we've actually had him, you know, in terms of him being interviewed a couple of times on our live stream, Mike Novogratz, right? So he's saying, look, he definitely see Bitcoin $20,000 by the end of the year. As a matter of fact, he's thinking that right now he can see Bitcoin at 14,000 by October or somewhere around a time frame, right? And part of his argument is this: there's a tremendous amount of liquid right now out there. They're about to pass another stimulus bill of $1 trillion.
That's it?
They're talking, yes. And so they're talking about, okay, another stimulus bill of $1 trillion. And they're talking about giving, individuals another $1,200, right? And they may or may not extend the extra $600 in employment. But so that may or may not happen. But the $1,200, that's going to happen. The $1 million stimulus package, that's going to happen. So that's going to fuel more liquidity into the environment. And when that happens, I'm telling you, a lot of that liquid is going to find its way into Bitcoin, like it already has, right? Remember that Coinbase put out a report that when the first stimulus check was issued, they saw a tremendous amount of accounts open up like right away for $1,200. That's going to happen again, right? So yes, 14,000 by October, 20,000 by the end of the year. I believe Mike Novogratz is right. And I think he may even be a little bit conservative. So that's what I'm thinking. Mr. Wong, what do you think? You agree or disagree?
I completely agree because I believe that, history tends to repeat itself. And we already see that happening once. I don't see, there's no reason why it won't happen again, actually, if and when the next round of the stimulus money becomes available to our citizens, right? But also, what I think also is going to help fuse the price increase is all these retail buyers start to come in. We talked about this in numerous occasions that there are more than ever the institutional investors that are buying these Bitcoins, but they're buying it OTC, right? So it doesn't really go through the exchange, so it doesn't have that price, effect. So, but point. I think next round, as we start getting more and more retail investors, to come into the space, that's gonna, if you start seeing a lot more buying support side of things, you're gonna see this price going up. I mean, that's what I see. So,
yeah, I see that too. I see that definitely. Because people are starting to realize that when I say people, I'm talking about the institutional guys, and also on the retail side. Everyone realized that wait a second, something is seriously wrong with our monetary system. And okay, for example, right now gold is at an all-time high. I mean, think about that, guys. Gold against the U.S. dollar is at an all-time high, and gold has been hitting all-time highs from all the other currencies around the world for months now. It's just so happened, and which makes sense. It's just so happened that the U.S. dollar was the last one to fall against gold, because gold has been hitting all-time high in all other currencies, right? So yes, gold is an all-time high. Why? Because people are starting to realize that, hey, this monetary system, these policies that we're implementing, this monetary money printing, $1 trillion here, $2 trillion there, it only means one thing: the basing of the currency, right? And we talked about this last week. One of the reasons why I think, my personal opinion, why we do not see a spike in the inflation yet is because we don't have that money velocity. And the reason why we don't have the money velocity right now, based on all the money that they're printing, is because we're on lockdown. So people aren't out there spending like they normally would. So the money is not moving as fast as it normally would. So with all the money printing going on, you would think you would see a spike in inflation in consumer goods. There inflation in other areas, but in consumer goods, the reason why we're not seeing that is because the money velocity is at a low right now. But once that money velocity kicks up, we're going to see a spike in inflation. So point being is this: people realize that they need to start to find themselves in safe havens. They need to start protecting their wealth. And gold is always the first place that people run to. But we've talked about this, right? Now people are going to gold and Bitcoin. And I think we're going to see gold and Bitcoin neck and neck for a while. as far as a safe haven, but at some point, gold can only go so far. At some point, Bitcoin is going to peel off of gold and it's going to be the one that people run to because it's more liquid, it's more transportable, it's immutable, it's unconfiscatable, all these other things that Bitcoin possess that gold doesn't. But we all know gold as a safe haven. So there's a reason why gold is an all-time high, guys. You have to pay attention to these things when they're happening. So when you see gold at an all-time high against the US dollar, you got to stop and say, okay, what's going on? And what am I supposed to do in this situation? So that's my take on it, Mr. Wong. What do you think?
I think you made a very good point. This is the reason why a lot of the younger generation, actually not just younger generation, a lot of people start catching on to the Bitcoin, bug because of the fact that so much easier, right, to put just some of your money into Bitcoin. It has been one of the best, performing asset for the last 10 years when you compare them to other asset class. Now, again, this is not an investment advice. It's just, fact that you can actually search by simply doing a Google search. So I think those are probably the reasons why Bitcoin has been, getting very popular lately.
Absolutely. And this is only the beginning. We haven't seen anything. This is just the beginning.
Right.
This is just the beginning, guys.
I agree.
So listen, I'll go ahead, Mr. Wong.
No, go ahead.
Okay. And I was going to say, so based on what you just said, let's dovetail off of that and go to the next topic, right? So who's buying Bitcoin? And we came across an article the other day, and I think this is quite interesting, right? What they're realizing that Bitcoin, right now, there are a lot of people that's really getting into Bitcoin on the retail level. And they broke it down in terms of demographics as far as who's getting into Bitcoin. So let me just read a portion of this article to you guys. So number one, who's getting into Bitcoin? Who's buying Bitcoin right now? This is not my opinion. This is the article. High income, well-educated men. No offense to ladies. I know a lot of ladies involved with Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, maybe most of our members right now are ladies, right? But
we have a lot of strong.
We have a lot of ladies in our company. I mean, a lot of ladies who are leaders. Okay, but according to this article, high income, well-educated men. So here's what they say: nearly 8 in 10 of 2020 crypto buyers were men with an average income of $130,000 a year. 4 out of 10 of them have a master's degree or higher, and 70% of them have a bachelor's degree or higher, right? So a big chunk of people that's buying Bitcoin and cryptocurrency this year is high income, highly educated men. The second category, millennials and Gen Xers. So millennials, which is age 26 to 40 years old, make up 50% of all buyers for cryptocurrency in 2020. All right? And then this is interesting. The third category of who is highly involved with buying Bitcoin in 2020, for some reason, Bank of America customers. Most of the people right now that has bought Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in the year 2020 have accounts at Bank of America. I don't know what that means, right? Why it wasn't Wells Fargo or Chase or whatever, I'm not sure. But when they run the numbers and do the research, the majority of the people right now that's holding cryptocurrency is Bank of America customers. So that's just a snippet of the demographic breakdown of who is buying Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in the year 2020. Now, is that true? I mean, is that article, that information, is that real based on what you guys are seeing, right? When you look around our clientele, Jason, most of them are more mature members, right? They're more mature, and we have a tremendous amount of ladies. So
For sure.
I'm not sure if the information in this article is 100% accurate, but it's interesting to at least ponder and think about. What do you think?
We obviously, as a company, we have a different demographics actually, right? As compared to the article that you just shared with us. But you know what? I'm actually happy to hear that, that we're getting all sorts of demographic to get into the space. And that's really, what's lacking. Like I said, let's go back to, what I just said maybe 10, 15 minutes ago. If we start getting the second round of stimulus money again, and I think last time why there's so many more $1,200 values of those new accounts that are open up is because they don't need those money, right? They tend to save it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the same thing happened this time. And I think that's really going to help push the Bitcoin price upward because of all these extra liquidity that are in the market. And you just kind of gave a high level generalization of the people that are buying it. They tend to be well educated. They, it doesn't sound like they worry, they have any worries about, food on the table. So they have the extra money to spend, right? So I think on and all, these are all really positive news for us as a Bitcoin miner, and because we obviously need Bitcoin's prices to go up in order to offer these incentive for people to mine Bitcoins, right? That otherwise you wouldn't have Bitcoin mining or Bitcoin network wouldn't function. So it's great to hear that.
There's one thing I want to add to that, and I posted something on Facebook yesterday. And looking at this, this article, especially the first a group of people that talk about highly educated men. One of the things I was realizing, I was doing some reading last night, is that, and my post was this: people's lack of interest in Bitcoin is a clear indicator of their lack of understanding of money. And maybe I don't know, but maybe one of the reasons why we see these high net worth, highly educated men that lead the demographics as far as being involved with Bitcoin and stuff is because maybe they do understand money. And maybe they do realize that Bitcoin is a better money for the future. I'm not saying, I'm just trying to draw some correlation because I was reading some stuff and I came across the information and it prompted me to post that post. But as I'm going through this article and reading this information, and I'm saying, maybe I was onto something, right? Because this is what they're saying: highly educated, high income, high net worth men. So maybe, I don't know. Because go ahead, Mr. Wang.
I can see that because in our educational system, we don't really offer any money training. Right? And
That's true.
A lot of people graduated from high school or college couldn't balance their own checkbooks. So let alone how to manage their money. So I do believe in what you. Yeah, I think you made a very good point.
Yeah, I believe so too. But we are breaking down those barriers because with us, you don't need to have any sophisticated degrees to become a Bitcoin miner. Right?
That's true.
We have made it so simple and so easy to get involved with Bitcoin and actually do it better than trying to go out there and buy, the Bitcoin, right? We have it set up to where you can actually be a part of the Bitcoin network, the most important part of the entire system, right? And it doesn't take any fancy degrees to do it. All it takes is for you just a little bit of understanding, and we provide the information for you to understand it. So What are you waiting for? All right. So guys, video time, right? As always. And this video, guys, I'm telling you, it is golden. Once again, we try to provide information that we believe can arm you, right? Not you, but all of us can arm us for when we, interact with someone that may not have a favorable view of Bitcoin, someone they may be a little bit negative towards Bitcoin and the Bitcoin space, or may not really understand what we're doing. And so I have a clip for you guys today. It's from, I believe, this person right here understand Bitcoin like no one else in the space. And what he does, Anthony Pompliano is the person. Mm-hmm. And so he has a podcast, very popular podcast, but sometimes he will do a live stream. And so the first part of his live stream is just him, giving a broad, like a monologue, if you will. And then towards the end of the live stream, he do a Q&A. So this clip is towards the end. He did a Q&A, and a couple of the questions that he received from the audience, his answers were just, golden, guys. And so I want us to listen to it, and then we can come back and talk about it a little bit. But this is information that you're not going to get in the mainstream, right? It is valuable stuff. So, James, whenever you're ready, sir, please play that video, and then we get back and talk about it.
This digital decentralized system. I'm 32 years old. I'm young. I've got a very high risk tolerance. I understand that I could lose the 50% that I put in the Bitcoin system, right? So whatever you invest, you can lose. So you have to be careful. You have to do your own research, all of the normal disclaimers. But I'm willing to take that risk because I believe 50-50, right? You've got to figure out, what do you believe? 99-1, 90-10, whatever it is, that's what you got to do. All right. I'm going to answer 2 more questions, and then I got things I need to go do. I need to plug this in so that my computer doesn't die. Let's see. What other questions? Do you think that Bitcoin will always lead the way in terms of value if there's a better technology such as Litecoin? Okay, so what about all the other cryptocurrencies is basically what this question's asking. There's lots of people who ask this question. And what I always go to is 2 key things. There's about 5,000 crypto assets, right? And I use assets for a very specific word. There's 3 types of crypto assets. There's cryptocurrencies. These are cryptographically secure digital assets that are trying to be money, right? So cryptocurrency. There are utility tokens, which basically are things that give you access to a network, a product, a service. Think of this. This could be like, tokens at an arcade or something like that. Or there are kind of the security or investment assets, right? So this is like taking the equity of a company and digitizing it or tokenizing it. So there's cryptocurrencies, there's utility tokens, and then there's kind of these tokenized securities. There's actually a very small number of them that are trying to be currencies, right? Of the 5,000, there might be 15 or less that are trying to be money. And in there, the market has determined, this isn't my opinion, the market has determined that Bitcoin is far and away the winner. Right? Could that change? Sure, anything's possible. But going back to what is money? Money is a belief system. And when you have belief in a network, and there's tens of millions of people who have all bought in, money is a very viral product, right? We send it back and forth, and people get locked into the network effects, right? And so think of the dollar. If you use the dollar, you probably don't use another currency. You just use the dollar. You're locked into that system. Everything's priced in dollars. Everyone accepts dollars, right? You have dollars. You're paid in dollars. You get locked in the system. In the Bitcoin system, there's tens of millions of people who've adopted it, and they're getting locked into this system. And so in order for something to unseat Bitcoin as the king in the cryptocurrency vertical, you would need that belief to break down and for something else to capture the belief. I personally do not believe that's going to happen. And it goes back to the same example, like when Venezuela's Bolivar fails, the government comes back and says, oh, sorry, our bad. We have this other currency now that you should try our second one. Nobody believes them. I think that's what happens in a decentralized digital currency. Bitcoin is the one attempt to separate state and money and to have a decentralized, distributed kind of system, right? Or deflationary digital currency. If it doesn't work, nobody's going to trust the next one. right? It's got too much market share. It's got too much adoption at this point. Too many people would get hurt. And those people happen to be the early adopters for this type of technology, that if it actually didn't work, the next one that came along, everyone would be like, we saw that already. It didn't work. And so the only thing that you could do is you would have to wait for those people to literally die, and then somebody could try it again. But I don't think that anything, if Bitcoin doesn't work, I don't think there will be a decentralized digital currency. So it's basically Bitcoin or nothing in the currency vertical. Now, the other, call it, 4,900 plus currencies that are out there, there's all kinds of debate, what's valuable, what's not valuable. I'm not going to cover that stuff now, but those aren't trying to be currencies. And so it's really important to kind of break off in the crypto world what's trying to be a currency. Bitcoin's the winner. The markets determine that, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Usability of Bitcoin. So this is another thing that people always ask about, which is Bitcoin is quote unquote slow, right? It's something that people will say. If you look at the fiat system, gold was the layer one, right? So we had gold, and gold was hard to transact. It wasn't divisible. It was hard to move around. It wasn't portable, all that kind of stuff. What we did was we took gold and we said, we're going to put it in a vault. And then we're going to create a paper claim on that gold, a layer two. So now you can just walk around with these pieces of paper and spend those, and we know that it's backed by the gold that's sitting in the vault. Then we built on top of that electronic money on top of the paper money, easier to transact. And then we even built credit and other things on top. So there's kind of multiple layers to the fiat or the dollar system. Started with gold and then went paper claims, digital money, and all the way up. That's what's happening with Bitcoin. So gold was super secure, super provable. You could have sovereignty of it, all of these things. Bitcoin is the exact same. The transactions get processed, batched together every 10 minutes. Like we talked, a blockchain, a chain of blocks of transactions every 10 minutes. So people will say, oh, it's slow. But think of it as a spectrum between you can have speed or you can have security. Bitcoin, just like gold and the dollar system, has chosen for layer one to optimize for security. It is much more important to be secure at layer one than it is to be fast. And so by being secure, what you're now seeing is we're already building layer two, which is, you might hear something called the Lightning Network or other things. And so that layer two is similar to the paper claims on the gold. It's a little bit easier to carry around and move. It's a little bit cheaper. It's a little bit faster. It's a little bit more efficient. That's exactly what layer two does. Layer two is built on top of layer one, and it makes it more efficient to spend and use Bitcoin. There will be a layer three, a layer four, et cetera, on top of it. And so over time, it will become much, much easier to use. It will become faster, more efficient, cheaper, all of these things. But going back, money is the most important asset in the world, right? Just like gold had to be the super secure sovereign asset at layer one, the Bitcoin network as it's designed had to be the super secure sovereign asset at layer one in this new system. And then you'll get the additional layers on top of it. We're only 11 years into this, right? This is a multi-decade rise to become the next global reserve currency. And so I think that's what people really have to understand here is this is not just about how fast is it today? How shiny is something today? How innovative and all that kind of stuff. It's all about you have to be very methodical, very safe, very secure, and very intentional about what you're building because today there's $200 billion in value at stake. If Bitcoin was to be blown up, right, in terms of a self-inflicted wound, there was a bug introduced in the code, something like that, there'd be $200 billion of value that would dissipate or disappear and evaporate. And so in that situation, security, safety, methodical, intentional work is the most important thing. That's what Bitcoin's doing. I actually think it's doing exactly what it needs to do. So, all right, I'm going to take one more question. Before I do that, go smash the like button so we can get more people on YouTube to watch this. I'm trying to get 100,000 subscribers. We're really close. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'm going to put pompletter.com. Again, pomp, P-O-M-P, letter.com. I just dropped the link in the chat. Go click on it. Sign up for the daily letter that I write to 50,000 investors every single day. And let's see. All right. I've seen somebody put in here 1 million times lengthening cycles. Yes. So this last question I'm going to answer. Lengthening cycles basically is this idea that those boom and bust cycles I talked about, they continue to get longer in timeline. So in the beginning, it might have been, a 6-month boom cycle and a 9-month bust cycle. And then it would be a 12-month boom cycle. then an 18-month bust cycle, right? And each time the boom and bust gets longer and longer. What it really is doing is not only is it lengthening in time, but it's also getting less volatile. And the reason is because more and more people are adopting it. So if you think back to Tilray, which was a marijuana stock that got floated, I think it was in Canada, and it exploded in value. I mean, this thing went up like hundreds of percent. Everyone was freaking out. The reason is because they took all of the stock for the company and they only floated a little bit. I don't remember what it was, 1 or 2%. And there were so many people that wanted it, but there was only 1 or 2% of the stock available. And so because there was this frenzy in demand, the price exploded, but the company and the directors and employees held most of the stock back, right? So there wasn't that much float. Well, in the early days of Bitcoin, the first 10 minutes, there was only 50 Bitcoin in circulating supply. Then after 20 minutes, there was only 100. And after 30 minutes, there was only 150. So it was very slow in terms of putting it into circulating supply. Fast forward 11 years, now there's 18.4 million Bitcoin in circulating supply. So there's been a dilution or more liquidity in the market, right? So that lowers the volatility because there's more liquidity. There's also been, in the beginning, there was only a couple of people using Bitcoin. Now there's tens of millions of people using Bitcoin. And on top of all of that, you start to see that there is a very, very high percentage of Bitcoin that hasn't moved in long periods of time, right? What we call strong hands. If you believe a deflationary asset is going to continue to get more valuable over time, why would you spend it? You're going to get it and you're going to hold it. And when people hold it, that ends up being a floor for the price. So when you get these boom and bust cycles, there's some percentage of Bitcoin that don't move, right? I don't know, 50% of Bitcoin haven't moved in like 5 years or some crazy number like that. I don't remember the exact number. In those situations, you get a lengthening of the time, you get less volatility, and ultimately you get a continued increase in price, right? Like I said, 30% compound annual growth rate. So that's basically what happens with this. All right, I've gone for
All right, guys. I really hope you guys got some value from that video. My personal opinion, I think Anthony Pompliano understands Bitcoin than anyone else out there, and I'm not kidding you. So if you are on YouTube and you haven't subscribed to his podcast, then please subscribe to his podcast. Not only his live streams are awesome, but also his interviews. He interviews, top-notch people. Not just in the cryptocurrency and Bitcoin space, but just in economics and whatnot. And if you guys want the entire live stream of that, I have it. I could drop it in the Telegram group. But I think it'd be a great thing for you guys to go back and listen to, because the entire thing in the beginning is not just about Bitcoin. It's just the economic environment, what's going on with money print and all that stuff. It's just great information that I think everyone should have access to. But that information is talking about, there's so many ammunition in there, to arm ourselves. When someone saying how Bitcoin is too slow or it doesn't have value, or there's some of the things that people talk about when it comes to Bitcoin. This information that we're taking in is ammunition for us to deal with those type of questions. And so I hope you guys find value from that. If there's something from that little clip that you guys would like for us to expand on, definitely drop it in the comment. James will let us know and we'll talk about it. But once again, I just love to listen to that kind of information, because to me, you're not going to get that kind of information, that kind of explanation, right? I'm talking detail, and then the analogies, talk about the safety of Bitcoin, the safety of gold, right? Because if we look at the history of gold and the history of paper money, we only have paper money because gold was too difficult to transport around, right? It's clunky and all of that. So that's when they started creating paper money. So you can leave your money, your gold, in the vault in the bank, and then they would give you paper money that would directly correlate to the gold you have. And then eventually they start debating that. And I want to get into all that. But same thing with Bitcoin. People talk about Bitcoin being too slow. But like he said, do you want it to be fast but not necessarily secure? Or do you want it to be secure as best as possible, right? And then as far as speed, you can have these other layers on top of that provide you the speed, lightning network, right? So some of those things is just great for us to know, so we can have an intelligent conversation sometimes when someone bring up these, these objections. So, I hope you guys find value in it. Mr. Wong, What say you,
I
sir?
love that little podcast. Actually, one big message that I keep getting out of his podcast is he is a long-term believer in the crypto
Yes.
space, just like many of us are, right? We're not trying to do a quick, profit taking and then get out of the space. And that's the reason why we choose to be in the mining space as opposed to be in the trading space. And frankly, most of us don't have that technical skills to be profitable when it comes to trading. Most people that I know that try to do day trading, they quit.
They lose.
I gotta tell you,
They lose their money.
in every bull market, right before it crashed, I start hearing and seeing more and more of my friends, people that are around me say, "Oh, I mean, what have you been? What have you been doing?" "Oh, I've been day trading." Huh. Then shortly after the crash, they all gone. So it's because it's difficult. It's difficult, right? Let's be honest. If it's that easy to do, everybody would be doing it, right? And that's the reason why we this is the best way to be in it. Now you can certainly just buy and hold, right? But I think we went through that economics and believe that it is better to actually mine over just buying and holding in the long run. If you're a long-term believer in Bitcoins, and which I think that's what he's trying to advocate, and try to get people to do. Hold on to it for the long term. It's, this technology has only been around for about a little over 10 years, and in the beginning there was very little in the circulation. So right now we have over 18 million in circulations, and most people, and I don't know if you catch that, most people actually haven't touched the Bitcoins in more than 5 years, right?
Very good point. Yes.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the new people that are coming into the space are in fact gonna actually do the same thing because they see
Absolutely.
that exactly. They see that as an inflationary hedge. And that's what I see, and that's what I'm not looking to touch my Bitcoins unless they get to 6 figures.
He said something. He said it very plainly. If you have an asset that you believe is going to go up in value, why would you sell it?
Exactly.
It doesn't get any clearer than that. This is not rocket science, guys. If you have an asset, unless you don't believe, unless you are in the space to make a quick buck and then, I don't know, where are you going to run to? The current fiat currency? Where are you going to go? Right. So, yes, as I said before, if you need the liquid, right? We all have things, obligations, whatnot. If you need the liquid, absolutely. But if you don't need it, why would you sell it? He said it very plainly. If you truly believe in Bitcoin, and if you truly believe that Bitcoin is going to go up in value as a deflationary asset, why would you sell it? Right? So no, guys, there's no need to sell a Bitcoin. Hold on to it. We want to hold on to a Bitcoin until, like Mr. Wong says, it hits at the very least 6 figures. And Anthony Pompliano believes that by the end of next year, we're going to see $100,000+ Bitcoin. And there's no one out there right now that understands Bitcoin than this guy. As a matter of fact, he used to own a Bitcoin mining farm. So he's been involved in the space for a very long time. He knows what he's talking about. All right, guys. So if you want, let me know. Drop a message in the chat, and I will post the entire live stream that he did a couple of days ago. I'll post that in a Telegram group. Okay. All right, moving right along, Mr. Wong. So, an article came out the other day that says, and Fidelity, which is a huge financial firm, right? They have close to $8 trillion in asset and under management. Not guys, $8 trillion. And so what they're saying is that, based on their clientele, Bitcoin right now has become an aspiration for people. And when you think about all the things that's going on in our environment right now with the money printing, the uncertainties, a lot of people are not just running to gold, but they're running to Bitcoin. So here's one of the, I just want to read something to you guys real quick. They said this, the unknown consequences of record low interest rate, unprecedented levels of global monetary fiscal stimulus, and deglobalization are all adding fuel to the fire of awareness and adoption for Bitcoin. That's the exact same thing we've been saying right here for weeks, Mr. Wong.
Yes.
Everything that's happening right now in our environment, as far as the money printing, the low interest rate, all of those things, guys, the uncertainty, all of those things, they're nothing more than fuel for Bitcoin. And it's happening slowly, right? It's happening slowly. But what happened is things like this happen slowly and then it quickens. Okay? So like this move that Bitcoin is on right now, I'm not sure if this is the bull move that we're waiting on. But what's going to happen is you're going to see it's going to make these little modest move, 11,000, maybe to like 14,000, maybe 16,000. And then it just boom and takes like a rocket. And that's what we're going to see eventually in the Bitcoin space. But when you have companies like Fidelity that have close to $8 trillion under management, and the feedback that they are getting from their clientele is that, hey, guys, we don't feel too safe right now in terms of our future, our financial future with this current monetary policy that's going on. So yes, we're going to start looking to park a portion of our asset into Bitcoin. And those things are not being played out yet. Like you said earlier, Mr. Wong, a lot of the purchases of Bitcoin right now that's being done by some of these large institutions, it's being done over the counter, right? It's not being done on exchanges, because if they do that, then that's going to affect the price. And they don't want the price to go up right now. Because right now it's the accumulation phase. They want to accumulate as much as they can, and then the price can go up. So most of these institutions, their clients, they are accumulating, guys, but we're not seeing the effect of that yet. One day we will see the effect of that. And when we do, Bitcoin is going to go to the moon. All right. So just be patient, just stack your sats and chill. Mr. Wong, what's for you, sir?
I think that's going to come in waves, right? It's not going to be just happen all at once. I think it's going to come in different waves, and the more money the Feds or the world federal banks start printing, the stronger the waves are going to come, and the stronger that it's going to push people over to the other side and say, hey, you know what? Maybe it is a good idea to look into some Bitcoins holding as a hedge, right? So I think it's going to come in waves, and I definitely do see that happen. Just have to be patient, and we always advocate that. In fact, I mean, that's what I'm doing personally. I'm holding on to the Bitcoins that I mine, and I'm waiting for that, mass adoption and becoming, more mainstream than where we are today. That's when you really going to start the price to take off. And these institutional investors, they are no dummies. Right?
No, they're not.
They figure out a really smart way to inject a large sums of money into the Bitcoin space without, for the lack of better word, being detected, right? Without fluctuating or affecting the price, right? That's how they are doing it. They're doing these buys and grayscale, and we talked about that numerous times in our podcast. I mean, they have purchased equivalent to 150% of total Bitcoin mined.
Yeah.
these are massive numbers. And I think it was over $1 billion that they have raised, and that's where they're investing, their clients' money into the crypto space. And think about that for a second.
Awesome.
So I think we are in the right space. Not asking you guys to put all your money, into one basket, right? Which is, nobody should do that. But many experts are saying, people should consider putting in 1%, 2%, 5%. So do your own research, and come back if you have questions. Drop your question into our chat box, and we'll try our best to answer it.
Absolutely, Mr. Wong. All right, so this brings us to the end of today's live stream. Time flies when you're having fun, right? You can't believe it's an hour already. Well, listen, guys, as always, it's great to have you guys here with us on our live stream. We love doing these live stream. I hope you guys are enjoying these live streams as well. Matter of fact, if you guys are enjoying these live stream, put a 1 in the chat so we know you guys are enjoying these, okay? And so Monday is our other live stream, 5:30. By the way, we have a special guest that's going to join us on Monday. I'm not going to tell you guys who it is just yet, but you guys are going to want to be here for that, okay? We have a special guest that's going to join us for Monday. And so look forward to that. And guys have a great weekend. Stay safe, practice safety, take care of yourselves and your family, and have a great weekend. And we'll see you guys on Monday. Mr. Wong, any last words for the folks, sir?
I'm happy. I'm hoping to see Bitcoins to go up to 12,000 over the weekends, and we shall see what happens. So,
nice. That'd be nice.
Just wanted to shout out the people on YouTube too. We actually had about 12 to 15 there for a minute. There's still 12 watching on YouTube, and a lot of engagement there. Thanks for the ones, guys. Cody, Cliff, Evelyn.
Nice, awesome, guys. We love you guys. Believe me, we love our members, man. You guys are awesome. You guys are the best. All right,
okay.
James. Thank you, sir. Always appreciate you. You are awesome. You're awesome squared, by the way. You're like more than you're like above awesome.
But, you can.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on Monday, 5:30 for our next live stream. And don't forget, like I said, we have a special guest for you guys on Monday. You guys are gonna love it. Okay. So see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Take care.